The journey of the entrepreneur is a profound and a wonderful journey.
I didn't want to work for anyone else. I wanted to work for myself.
Hi, I'm Mike Caslin, your host for Veterans Playbook.
I'm hearing a lot of assets from your military experience.
I initially started Battlefish to help other veterans, to help other people.
It's battle fishing good.
This is a series about veteran entrepreneurs driven by their passion and purpose to create peace and prosperity for themselves and their community.
We just grew 20% in the last probably 3 months.
You've been heroes, national security heroes.
I've been mortared, I've been shot at.
Now it's time for you to become economic heroes. We're going to be using the Entrepreneur's Playbook, written by Professor Len Green, member of the Babson Business Hall of Fame, philanthropist, author, and serial entrepreneur.
Find a problem out there, solve it.
We want to ignite your passion and your social entrepreneur within.
Everywhere I went, you could never find this style of pizza anywhere.
Most people see an abandoned building as just waste. We see it as opportunity.
Welcome, Colonel Retired Patrick Powers. Patrick, we're going to start off thinking about your great service and your great company, Gold Star Sailing.
We tried to do better with the wounded warriors, and there was a lot of foundations that went to help those guys and those gals, and I think that a lot of good has come out of that, and we learned a lot. I think the families, we struggled with how to do better by them. I want to help there. So on the veteran side of things, we thought we could connect those kids and we could give them an adventure and they could share it together. Not that it would make it better, but that they wouldn't be alone in that journey. When a parent passes, the other parent will go back to where that parent's from and reconnect with their support network. It's typically friends and family where they grew up. And so a couple parts of that is that child's disconnected from the military, and that's a piece that they kind of are missing. And then their grief journey varies from the parent's grief journey. What we found was getting them together. Right. So if they're all Gold Star children, then they're all the same. There's nothing special about them because I made a Gold Star camp for them. Instead of being the token kid, they're all in the same boat. They overcome that fear together, they share that common experience, and they start to bond.
We're going to talk now about kind of how those dots connected for you. Sometimes it's easy looking backwards, but can you bring us back?
My family is all from really the New York City area. I was born in New Jersey in '67, right? So, that's sort of the tail end of the Vietnam era.
We today have concluded an agreement to end the war in Vietnam.
I picked up a stepbrother along our journey, right? And he and I got to be very close. And he and I I remember going to the movie theater outside of Princeton, New Jersey, and we were seeing Top Gun in the theater when it was released, right? And we walked out of there, both of us, and I said, that's gonna be me. Yeah. For different reasons. Mm-hmm. My brother wanted to be Tom Cruise.
Right.
I wanted to be Maverick.
Right.
And we grew up, and he actually went into the theater and the cinema. He's an actor, and then I went into the Army. And
is that great? So calling was key. Like you had this.
I felt like I wanted to serve. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to work outside. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to apply to the academies. Being a kid in the Vietnam era, there was really nobody was supportive of that notion. There was a bedroom community of Wall Street. My dad and everybody wore their suit. They got on the Erie Lackawanna train. They went into the city. They came back exhausted, and I thought, that looks terrible. And that just was not my calling, I didn't think. I went to Ohio University, I was on the swim team, and swimming taught me work ethic. Mm-hmm. Swimming is just a grueling day in, day out, 2 times a day, just take the pain. Mm-hmm. Just swim till your arms go numb, and just, deal with it. What I found later in life is that served me very well. That was growing up, and I was in the business school, I was on the swim team, and the business school just didn't seem like a good fit for me. I got into ROTC midway through college. I finally got the blessing from my parents. I went, I had a great time. I learned a ton. I was the honor graduate. I got a full scholarship. I said, okay, thank you, I get it. This is definitely what I should be doing. A week later, they sent me to airborne school. And just like what we're doing today with the kids on the rappel tower, it's intimidating until you do it. And then when you do it, you're like, wow, that wasn't so terrible. That was actually kind of exciting, and I did that. That sort of got me into the Army. 1991, my parents came out, they pinned my lieutenant's bars on me. Now you're a commissioned officer. This is pretty cool. We're pretty proud of you. Yeah. And I never looked back. I went to Field Artillery Officer Basic Training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Ranger School was that was a high bar to get over. I was very intimidated by that. Mm-hmm. But in swim team, my work ethic had taught me you can catch up. And I didn't start swimming until I was 14. I actually did very well. What I found was they deprive you of sleep and of food, and they make it as hard as they can to teach leadership in the worst of situations so that in combat, it's not the first time it's been terrible. And so it's this whole stress inoculation thought process. From the beginning, it was, I'm not gonna quit. They're either throw me out or they're gonna carry me out, but I won't quit. It was about having it in your heart and having it in your mind, not just about physical strength. Then I went to Korea. First job in the Army, I'm responsible for 82 people in a foreign country. Now, I had good officers who were keeping an eye on me. They wouldn't let me stray too far. I was allowed to fail. I was allowed to mess things up. And I learned how to take care of troops. I learned how to trust people. And I learned how to delegate, and it was all good. That was 1 year. Then I went to 82nd Airborne Division, and I thought, it doesn't get any better than this. I'm jumping airplanes. I've got an important mission. It's fun. It's exciting. And the guys that were there were all very serious. You had to lead, and you had to take care of your troops. You had to make sure they're trained, they were taken care of, that they were taking care of themselves. And it was an amazing
Sounds
journey.
like an MBA in life, especially for even your future.
And I learned that you can do dangerous things safely.
Active duty military, are you locked and loaded on your civilian life career plans? Military spouses, have you found a career that travels with you? Veterans, are you on a path of passion and purpose? The secret to your career success and happiness is all about fit. Learn how to customize your career to your powerfully unique talent, passion, purpose, and values. Control your own destiny by launching your own business. Order these books now on Amazon or visit veteransplaybook.com. Many entrepreneurs learn things the hard way. Increase your chances for business success. Len Green has over 40 years of experience advising thousands of winning entrepreneurs. He shares their inside secrets and proven strategies so you can learn it all before you launch your business. Based on his popular course at Babson College, the book reveals 18 down-to-earth principles and proven business tactics. Read the book and get online feedback from Len. Order today on Amazon or visit veteransplaybook.com.
Again, you sort of get more stress inoculated. We were going to jump into Haiti. I was on Operation U-turn, as we called it. We flew down 66 planes. Then we came back. Not gonna lie, that was a little disappointing. We thought that was the big mission, right? It was like our Normandy. At Fort Bragg, that's the home of the Special Forces as well. I knew a bunch of the Green Berets. I started asking them questions. And the more I dug into that, the more that appealed to me. And it's kind of back to Ranger School. Okay, now we're setting the bar pretty high. When you finish that, you look around left and right, and it's a pretty serious group of peers. That mindset, sort of that graduate level of warfare, was I launched into as a young captain. We were dealing with the Balkans back then, training with NATO allies, doing a lot of great training. And so I came to appreciate proper training even more. Then 9/11 happened. And so that changed everything. And so in everything, we pivoted from focusing on peer competitors to the war on terror. Went to graduate school, and then went to Afghanistan. Guys got hurt. And so that was always sort of weighing on us. There's a whole nother menu of training events that are open to you as a special operator. So now it's scuba school and diving at night. You want to talk about a leap of faith? Get out of a boat in the water with no flashlight in the Florida Keys. That makes this look like stepping off the curb in terms of getting to the water by yourself, or tied to a buddy. So if he gets eaten, you'll know, because the rope will get pulled. You were never allowed to get comfortable. I got to a point as a colonel where I was in DC. My kids were in high school or junior high school. I felt bad about moving them every 2 years. There wasn't a lot on the horizon I still wanted to do. And so I thought, it's time for something else.
Now, and it's halftime, or even,
It is sort of a halftime, that's right.
So now you have a whole nother chapter to write.
And where did that start? For me, it started as a little kid, like these guys. I was at sail camp. I used to go to boys camp in Maine. One day I got to go out on a sunfish. And magically, I harnessed the wind, and the boat went the way I wanted to go, faster than I could paddle, faster than I could row, and I said, what dark art is this? This is cool, I like this. And it was a magical moment for me. So then I had an uncle, and he had been a medic in Special Forces, and he had a sailboat. He had I'm pretty sure it was a Bermuda 40 and a Hinckley, so he took my sister and I and my cousins up here, and I just remember spending a weekend with them, and it was this magical, I went through the looking glass. I was teleported to another world of wonder and amazement. It was magical. And I had that aha moment there where I just planted the seed. I want to get to this place someday, right?
And it was a place of peace, power, healing, like it mattered and fit with you.
It was joy, and it was adventure, and it was wonderment, and I just thought it was amazing. Shortly after Special Forces training, I married my wife, and I was lucky she came from a sailing family. I'm going back and forth from the combat zones. People are getting hurt, we're losing people, and it it tears at you. There's, especially in Special Forces, we're so tight-knit that when you lose somebody, it's tough. There's a survivor guilt that we don't like to talk about, but it's a thing.
I think we tend to not want to talk to other people, especially unless they're a veteran, because we have that connection. It's hard to share that with family members and with neighbors because they don't know. So you've got to have your support network. If you're giving back, then you're not faced inward and just focus on your demons and the voice of telling you you're not good enough, or you're not strong enough, or you didn't do a good enough job, or you should have done better.
And you know, some of these guys had kids, and I thought, geez, how can I help? Having come back, I felt I owed somebody something. And so I'd had so much fun teaching my kids to sail. I thought, geez, what if I could teach somebody else's kids to sail? I know from experience the military community and the veterans community are chronic volunteers. They want to help, they want to give back. And then the sailing community, as I got into racing, and that community is just good people, and they share that adventure, and they bond, kind of like the small teams in Special Forces. And so I said, gee, what if I can tap into those two groups to support this group that's in pain?
And can we talk about that pain?
Yeah.
Because there's so many fractures in our world today,
Sure.
but you've picked a certain group.
For the kids today, going off a rappel tower was scary, right?
Yeah,
They've never
yeah.
done that. And when I told them, I said, it's only scary because you don't know. It's the unknown that's scary. Once you've done something, then it's not scary anymore. You know it's gonna be hard, or it's gonna be easy, but it's not scary.
Yeah.
One of the things we learned in Special Forces was we instilled stress inoculation by just constantly stressing people out in training environments, so that in a combat environment, nothing seemed that hard.
Right.
Okay, so how do I instill that into the kids? I'm very hands-on, and I stay with the kids throughout the week. So not only am I coaching with them, but I'm also chaperoning, and I'm running. So I'm doing a lot. To tell someone who's looking to do something similar, don't be afraid to ask. Ask for help, and ask for mentorship. And no one has ever said no. No one's ever said no. The only time they said no is they're already committed to doing something similar. They just physically can't do it all. You know what you want help with, but be open to what they might help you with, because sometimes what they can offer you is more than you would ask for. We have found Gold Star adults that lost a parent in Vietnam or in Korea that have found us. And they said, I want to help. Wonderful. What can you do? I can do anything but fundraise, or I've got a boat, or I can teach, or I can connect you.
There is somebody out there that loves to support sailing, right? And they're just waiting to find you. You just got to dig deep, right? And find that true believer. So I spent a lot of time fundraising, shaking hands, kissing babies, as we like to say. And it didn't do much for me until I realized that my perfect customer, my perfect supporter were the veteran community, veteran-owned businesses, patriots, people that had a parent served in the military. And once I figured that out, I was able to hone in, and we were, off to the races.
We got 19 of them this year. 2 of them are from England, and we picked one of them up a couple years ago, and we were buying him a sandwich. We're like, hey, just a quick question. How many of the kids do you stay in touch with? Any of them? He said, all of them. Like, why would you even ask me that?
They're the new tribe.
That's how often do you talk to each other? He said, every week, some every day. They understand each other, and they have more empathy for each other than we could ever even understand. We get them together, we set conditions, and they bond, and they share, and they heal. It just happens. They have guilt having fun. They felt like they should grieve forever.
Yes.
Like, no, you should have fun together. You should grow. You should have adventures. It's important to note that how you define Gold Star differs and matters. There's a pennant that's a rectangular one, and you'll see that flying with a blue star. That means I have a loved one deployed in the service of the nation, right? And then if they lose that one, then it turns gold. So I took that flag and turned it into a sailing burgee. So it just looks like a normal club burgee, but to the Gold Star families, it means something. For us, Gold Star means that immediate family, the children of a fallen serviceman. So these kids show up, they have emotional body armor on, they're a little bit nervous, but as soon as they meet each other, we found out that they come as strangers and they leave as family. They're instantly connected, like meeting a distant cousin for the first time. And they have fun and they start to share. So the feedback was good. So then we felt good. How do we keep doing this? So, of course, try to keep making it better. I'm a big fan of evolutionary change. I like the Porsche 911. Just make it a little bit better every year. Don't reinvent the whole thing. We do an after-action review after we start planning next year, right away after we put the kids on the planes. Figured out not to over-program them, because some of the magic is just letting them be kids and not running around from event to event. But then how do we scale? Well, back to Special Forces, my background, I'm a big fan of quality over quantity. So I didn't want to scale too big. We tried 22 kids one year because we figured out enough boats and busing and housing we could accommodate that. The feedback from the kids was it was too big.
Yes.
One of the things that they said made us special was, number one, we weren't a cry camp. And I had never heard that term before.
Right.
But they told me about some of these camps that are very focused on reliving the experience. I said, I want joy and fun. We let them be kids, but they said it's got to be smaller. So we found the sweet spot is about 16, 18, 20 is sort of our cap. And then they get to hang out. They shoot pool at night, whatever. Okay, how do I replicate this? Well, we picked this location, Newport, because the wind is perfect in the summertime, every day.
Every day.
All the history of the America's Cup and this being one of the centers of sailing for the world. And then COVID happened. Rhode Island shut down, full stop. And I had friends in Fort Lauderdale. I was in Tampa when I started this. They said, please come to Fort Lauderdale. I said, okay, let's go. So I went down there. They said, just let us show you how we do things. They ran an amazing regatta. They were qualifying kids for the Olympics. You've got a sailing community that'll support you, and you've got some kind of military connection there. For us, we had some veterans there, and then the Coast Guard's super helpful. So so that was sort of our first franchise, if you will.
So you're a force aligner and force multiplier.
Part of my idea is to also expose the kids to a bigger world.
Yes.
Right, try new things, grow your plan, and take your opportunities there, meet people, appreciate who they are for who they are, not for what they have, but for what they do. When I was getting out of the service and I was thinking about what I was going to do for a job, people say, well, what do you like doing? And I would start talking about this and I get all animated. And I can't tell a story without getting a little bit emotional, I'll be honest, because these kids are so wonderful. But it's where my heart is.
Yes.
They said, well, why don't you just do that for a living? I said, because
there's so many reasons I can't do it.
First of all, I will ask people for money to support this.
Yes.
I won't ask people for money to support my lifestyle. That's not who I am. And so all of a sudden, I spent almost 30 years serving, and somebody else was handling my assignments. They'd say, hey, Pat, well, you want to do this or that? Like you always but somebody's sort of managing that for you.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, you're supposed to get your job. So, great. Get a suit, do your resume, have somebody look at you. Yeah, you look okay. Yeah, this looks okay. And then if you think you're just going to spam the world with resumes, you're never going to get past HR, right? They don't understand that it's your network that gets you a job. A lot of guys think about retiring or transitioning as just another move. You get sort of used to moving, living out of bags, and just every 24 months you're in a new house, whatever. This isn't a move. This is a transition. It's a campaign plan. You have to plan it like you're invading another place. Like, it's a big deal. I've got a good job, perfectly content, but it doesn't bring me the fulfillment that this does. Business pays for lifestyle and family, and then a foundation fills my heart. This pays me back with the value that I need, the sense of purpose and fulfillment. So I think you made comment earlier, there's sort of multiple paychecks for me, right? I get my adventure, I pay my bills, and then I invest in others, and I pay back. Getting started is the hardest part. It's almost like writing a long paper. I go back to your network. You have to have friends and family that will support you.
Veterans Playbook is inspired by the Entrepreneur's Playbook written by Professor Len Green. Let's talk about principles that matter to you.
Chapter 9 about do I need an advisory board really resonated with me. And so I built this advisory board and I saw just magic happen, because problems that my captains and first sergeants were having connecting with politicians or schools, they couldn't solve. The local veteran community had all the answers. So I took that lesson and I applied it to Gold Star Sailing when we built it.
First time he did this camp up here, he had rented a house and talked about getting the kids up by banging pots and pans to get them up, and the schedule was willy-nilly and chaos. You know, we've tapped into the network of support up here, and this community has just been absolutely fantastic in helping this program. So we have just continued to refine the schedule and get things to where it really hums along so nicely.
First started thinking about this, it was fun to bring you in because we used to do this with our kids, right? Like teaching sailing and being in this kind of environment, sharing all this.
He's probably already told you the story about the kids saying, at home, you know, nobody understands me. At this camp, everybody understands me. We really focus on the outdoor learning, the sailing, the history lessons, just the experiences. And they do a lot of the healing on their own. And it's just amazing to see that. We really focus on joy and fun and peace and this beautiful environment here in Newport. I've enjoyed seeing some of the kids rise to the challenge.
One of the things we learned was when we first started, social media wasn't really a thing. Certainly wasn't for me because I was special operations and we didn't have social media accounts. We proactively now post all those smiling faces and instead of getting phone calls, all we're getting is likes.
And now, how can we help you? What's your ask for help?
if I had one wish, it would be that there weren't any Gold Star kids, right? We didn't have any demand signal. I think where I could use the most help is to seed and to create an endowment. We typically spend about $50,000 on a camp. And again, that just all goes to the kids. We have no overhead. So I've been told, because I'm not a money guy, but the money people that I know say what you need is, $1 or $2 million in an endowment, and then your programming can go on indefinitely.
So Dominic, I wanted to share some of your story because you've been with us for a very long time.
Yeah. Being at this camp really kind of told me that I really needed to mature and stuff like that, but because I had lost a parent, it was a little hard to kind of have that father figure, and good thing I had met Patrick because he was kind of there for me whenever I needed it. I also really love sailing, and I was able to kind of do both, which was amazing.
My first experience was here in Rhode Island in the barracks. I was shy, naive, but coming to this camp and meeting new people has definitely opened me up and allowed me to come out of my comfort zone and try new things.
This is like the most fun week of the year for me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's exhausting.
Exhausting.
And luckily I'm trained at how to operate on Red Bulls and 4 hours of sleep a night. So it takes me back to my Baghdad days, right?
Right. Talk about a special operation.
But those kids are so worth it.
Yes.
And they're so great.
Thank you again, Patrick, founder and president of Gold Star Sailing, for sharing your amazing and inspiring journey.
I hope you are inspired by this amazing veteran venture story. Whether you're an active duty veteran or military family member, starting your own business is a great dream. We hope you're inspired to act now, pursue this passion and purpose, and by doing so, move our world to a better place. We are Veterans Playbook. Until next week, I'm Mike Caslin.